One of my favorite prayers from the Apostle Paul is in Ephesians 3:14 through 21. He prays that God, according to the riches of His glory, would strengthen the Ephesian Christians with power through His Spirit in the very core of their being. And he prays this so that, it's a purpose clause, so that Christ may dwell richly in their hearts and lives through faith. And Paul's writing to believers here. So these Ephesians have already trusted in Jesus for their salvation, but he's praying that Jesus will consume and capture and captivate more and more of their hearts as they continue to trust in Him more deeply, as they're strengthened through His Spirit. Then he goes on to pray that they, being rooted and grounded in love, may have the strength to comprehend the limitless dimensions of God's love, which go beyond understanding. He prays that these believers would develop a deeper connection with Jesus, and in turn that they would grow deeper roots in God's love for them. And listen to how he closes the prayer. He says, all of this is possible through the one who is able to do far more abundantly beyond all that they can ask or imagine because of God's Spirit at work within them. Who doesn't want Jesus to be more fully rooted in their hearts? Who doesn't want to be more deeply rooted in God's infinite, incomprehensible love in a way that surpasses an intellectual knowledge of it and drives deep down into the core of our being? I want that, and if you love Jesus, I know that you want that too. To know, like deeply know, the presence of the God of the universe dwelling in you through the power of His Spirit, doing infinitely more than you could ever dream of in your heart and in your life and in your relationships. That truth is the reason I'm so fired up for our show today. We're going to learn about a ministry that's helping men grow deeper roots in Jesus so that they can experience transformation in their lives that overflows into the lives of those around them. You're watching One Day Closer, where we're learning how to use our one day closer to eternity to bring hope and purpose to many. Let's meet our guest for today. We're here with Travis Pondelek, who's going to share with us his experience with the Deep Roots Discipleship Training Program. Travis, thanks so much for being here with us. It's been awesome getting to know you better, and especially through how God's been using Deep Roots in your life. As we get started, can you just share a little bit about yourself and your family?
Well, first off, thanks for having me today.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. So again, Travis Pondelek. I'm married 12 years to my beautiful bride, Brittany, born and raised in the area. 3 children, 5-year-old Bryce, 3-year-old Isaiah, and 1-year-old Elsie. I manage a landscape company local. Been doing that for most of my life, about 15 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
And so you're one of the people who celebrates snow, one of the few, right?
Correct.
Because you get to come out and help clean it up.
And that makes our business world go round. Snow makes our everything work and fall into place for us, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about just your relationship with Jesus and how that's kind of grown in your life.
My relationship with Jesus started out very basic and vague at a young age. My parents had me involved in a church where a deep personal relationship with Jesus didn't exist. It was very just religion, checks and balances, no personal relationship with Jesus there. As I grew up and gained new friends and things like that, the churches that I attended changed, and that's what allowed me to gain that personal relationship with Jesus and kind of the whole principle of it's more than just religion. The relationship with Jesus is at the heart. And my wife was a big part of that, leading me in that way, because she grew up in a Christian family that did have that personal relationship with Jesus.
That's great. And you had some experiences, so kind of God provided a church that really helped you through your wife and her family, help you kind of see your need for Jesus at a deeper level, and then getting into small groups, I think you said, made a big impact. How did that help?
Yeah, so the small groups challenged me, and it kind of opened my eyes to some real life examples of what it looked like to have a personal relationship with Jesus. Again, that was missing in my adolescence as I grew up, but I did know, thinking back to those times of my life, I did know, like, oh, something is missing, something, I was seeking more, even at a very young age, which prompted me to, I never was the kind of kid that I felt like I was being forced to go to church. I wanted to, but I always had that longing for more and something more personal to me. So the small groups opened up my eyes to real life examples of people my age in similar stages of life that did have that personal relationship. And being in the landscape field, to be honest with you, just surrounded by, and some people maybe are probably worse than me, but surrounded by a lot of darkness, a lot of people, coworkers that you're with, 8-10 hours a day that were just focused on a lot of the wrong things. Yeah. So I was very, for a big portion of my life, I was around people that were focused on a lot of the wrong things, and not just surrounded by people that were focused on Jesus and growing that relationship.
Yeah, and it makes a difference, right? The people that we're with,
right?
For the longest part of the day, it affects just how we view
there was a big
things.
portion of my life that I was with those people more than I was with my wife or my Christian friends.
Yeah, wow. Well, good. I look forward to hearing more about that. We're going to take a quick break, but stick with us. We're going to learn more about how God is growing deeper roots in Travis's life as he draws near to Christ and to other men.
Watch Lighthouse TV wherever you go. Available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. Search Lighthouse TV online on your streaming device, or go to our website, lighthousetv.org, for more information.
Welcome back to One Day Closer. We're here with Travis Pondelek, learning about deep roots, how he's growing deeper roots in his heart and life with Jesus alongside other men. So Travis, you were just sharing about your relationship with Christ and moving kind of out of the checking the boxes religion portion into what it really looks like to have Jesus as your personal Savior and a relationship with Him. And particularly, I want to move into Deep Roots. So Deep Roots is one of the men's training discipleship programs I have the opportunity to help oversee with a great team of men in my position as the area director of Priority One. And our heart is really to do that, to help men draw closer to Jesus with one another. And tell me about, how did you get connected with Deep Roots?
So my first interaction with Priority One would have been at the No Regrets Men's Conference last February, coming up on a year now. So that kind of put Priority One in my brain. I had a great experience there, a life-changing morning, half day for me, but particularly the church I attend, the family pastor approached me when Deep Roots 3, I believe it was getting launched. He approached me, and fairly new, less than 2 years in at the church that I am at now, and he approached me, and it was a feel good thing, I mean, like, man, the pastor's approaching me to be on his team and join this thing, and he said, like, normally I don't do these things, but I really thought, I thought of you, and I thought, maybe this can help you grow. And he was definitely a major influence in me. Like, yeah, I'm all into this. Researched it a little bit, read about it online and that stuff. And I was like, I think this is for me. Dove in head first.
That's awesome. And had you had men in your life that you were close with? You mentioned in work, it was, you got a lot of guys you're working with, maybe with a different worldview and different view of life. Did you have strong Christian men that you were walking with in a deep way at that time?
I did not. Not on a day-to-day basis. I did have a couple from several years ago, the small group that I was in. Yeah. A couple of those men that were at similar stages in life as me, young children, working. But I can't say we had a really close day-to-day walk with Jesus together. So I had them, but they were like, more of a back burner we were busy. So
Yeah.
it was like we didn't connect very often. When we did, we connected and it was a great time of fellowship, but definitely not on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And the heart of Deep Roots is really the team, which is 3 to 4 men that are meeting weekly. They're going through the challenges, which we'll get to in a minute. But so tell me about just your experience with Deep Roots and what it was like. How did that help you? How did Deep Roots help you draw closer to Christ and closer to the men in your group?
So my group in particular was 4. One of them was a non-believer, and that was kind of a strategy between myself and the family pastor to bring in one non-believer and kind of see what the program can do for them. But it really just, it transformed me because it allowed me to focus on Jesus all day. And it just, that focus drew me closer and closer to Jesus as the weeks went on. So the kind of the outline of the program, the strategies to follow, if that makes any sense, really allowed me to focus on Jesus all through the day, not just on Sundays or when I felt down or like I need to pray, and it kept me focused on Jesus all day.
Yeah, that's like the best thing that I could think of hearing from somebody who's been through Deep Roots is it helped me learn how to focus on Jesus in all areas of my life. And can you kind of explain a little bit of the outline of the program? Like what helped you do that? What was the strategy that you went through?
Honestly, the outline started out, I'm not saying basic, but easy to follow, attainable. I'm not saying I'm the busiest person in the world, but I have 3 young children.
Yeah.
I'm involved in local things, and I work at least 10 hours a day most days. I understand there's probably a lot busier people out there than me, but it was definitely attainable, and some guidance of others. Kind of, you could take care of multiple tasks, like if you were exercising, you could take care of praying, and just that whole concept resonated with me as I moved through the program. You knew in the beginning, like, oh, this is week 1, this is definitely going to get more challenging, but you kind of developed those skills as you went week to week, which allowed you to attain it. But ultimately, it was building more and more time and focus on Jesus as it went. That was fairly clear to me. In the first couple of weeks, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the focus, right? Helping men develop habits, and there's 3 core areas: spiritual, physical, relational challenges, and really a way to kind of capture men is to provide those challenges. I think men want to be challenged. Men want to grow, right?
Sure.
And I think what can happen, and I don't say this to denigrate any churches, but I think what can happen is it can often feel like we're invited to know Jesus, and then our goal is just kind of become a good boy, right?
Exactly.
To go to church, follow the rules, right? But it's far more than that. Christ wants all of us, and He wants to use us in awesome ways. And we've just been seeing how men love to be challenged. And so we have weekly missions that go out, right? And you had to do the mission by a certain amount of time. You had things you had to do each day or whatever in these different categories, different challenges. How did you feel about, because that could feel like maybe checking off boxes, right? Because you literally are. But how did the checking of the boxes, the challenges, the missions also focus on the relationship?
So it just kept, I think the most important thing was that the challenges kept you accountable and on track to meet the goal by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Now, a good leader of your group, I was honestly the leader of our group, but I was new to it. I didn't really know what that entailed. I want to grow as a leader for the next Deep Roots for sure. But they kept you accountable. It kept you on track, even more so than your group. Yeah, you met your group once a week, but there's a big gap in between there that you need something to keep you focused and keep you on the right track. And one of the big things about Deep Roots too that I honestly think is you have to want to change. You have to want to become closer to Jesus. If you don't want that, you can get through it, but you're not going to gain anything out of it. You can just say, yeah, I did aerobic exercise for 10 minutes, but you really just walked to and from your car. I don't know. I mean, there's ways to kind of bend those rules, but if you're a man that wants to get closer to Jesus and wants to grow and wants to become a better man in whatever sections of Deep Roots that you want, if it's relationally, physically, or relationally, it will definitely do that for you.
Yeah, and I think you're right, men, and we purposefully try and make it attainable, but also a challenge for that reason. Like, guys have to put effort in, right? We're not going to lower the bar because it's not going to challenge men to grow. Tell me about Brittany, so your wife. Tell me her response to your time in Deep Roots. What does she think about it?
I mean, instantly she saw the change in me, which honestly gave me more and more motivation to keep going. And you get into week 5, 6, 7, and the love and the lust for it may start to fade. But seeing the change in me definitely motivated me more to continue with the program and excelling. I got married at a young age, and I definitely was missing some things in my life, and I was part of the book we read, Wild at Heart, it definitely resonated with me because it talked about not finding validation in your wife, but finding validation in the Lord. And I was doing that as a young man, landscaper, man's man, tough guy. I was searching for validation through my wife. And I really learned through Deep Roots that that's not where I should be trying to get my validation from. It should be from the Lord. So that kind of changed my mindset as I was moving through Deep Roots. In the beginning, it was great because I was getting the validation from her. And I continued too, but I was also getting validation from the Lord as well.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think a lot of men wrestle with that. I know I have, and we can make our wife our scorecard. And if we're supposed to be leading our families, and we're supposed to be shepherding and loving our wives in a sacrificial way, if we're trying to find our validation from them, it doesn't work, right? We need to take our validation from Christ and then bring His strength to them. That's awesome that God is working that in you. I love what you said about Deep Roots. Deep Roots revealed a relationship between Jesus and me that I never realized was attainable. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I just think the more I surrounded myself with Christian men and prayer, reading the Bible, reading Wild at Heart, the more I wanted to learn, the more I wanted to do it, the more I wanted to focus on those things. And even though the outline recommended, or this is how you get your points, I wanted to do those things. I wanted to wake up, I wake up early anyway, but I wanted to wake up 15 minutes earlier so I could spend time reading my Bible. Or if I didn't wake up in time, I would let the app read to me as I drove to work. So it kept the want for more and more and more and more as we went through.
That's great. And that's really what it's about. It's the consistency. It's not like this difficult formula. Be in God's Word, be in prayer, right? Pursue Him and do alongside other believers. So
pretty simple.
Right? But it seems in our lives, of course, Satan and our flesh and everything is trying to pull us away from doing those most important things. And that's really what Deep Roots is about. How do we help men get in developing the habits that are going to help them thrive and survive in times of famine, and also stay grounded in times of abundance, because those are often the times when we get pulled away, very easily. Tell me a little bit about, did Brittany notice any changes after the program ended? So she noticed changes when you started it.
So she did, and now honestly, she came to me one day, I don't know after, and something came up, and I probably didn't handle the situation in the best way, and she's like, when is Deep Roots going to start again? So definitely things fade, but as I feel, as long as more stuck and more became habit in that 8 weeks, the better. Some of it's going to fade. You don't have necessarily that accountability anymore, or those check boxes. So some of it does fade, and some of it it's not a lot, but it's extra. But I think the core things stick. Again, if you want them to stick, they're going to stick. You're reading, being in God's Word, and all those things stick. But she noticed that little bit of fade in me for sure.
I can understand what you're saying. I can't personally relate. I've never done anything to offend my wife, or I've always responded perfectly. So,
I'm sure we all have, right?
No, but that's one of the reasons. So I think two things that you touched on. Deep Roots is intense, right? It's designed to be, and that's why it's only 8 weeks. Doing it nonstop would be hard, but it does help develop those habits. And that's why we run it twice a year, once in the winter, once in the fall, because to give guys that reboot, that they need. So that's exciting stuff. Travis, thank you so much for being with us. This is so great. And thanks for your honesty and just, sharing your heart about Deep Roots and how Christ is working in your life.
Again, I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Man, our pleasure. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about how you can apply some of these principles to grow deeper roots in your life alongside other believers.
Watch Lighthouse TV wherever you go. Available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. Search Lighthouse TV online on your streaming device, or go to our website, lighthousetv.org, for more information.
Psalm 1 gives us a captivating picture of what it looks like to develop deep roots that are connected to God and His truth. We're told that those who meditate on and live by God's truth are like trees in a barren desert that are planted right next to a stream of water. The roots of those trees are tapped into the life-giving water that allows them to produce flourishing fruit in the right seasons of life. The environment in which we are planted as people and the habits that we engage in make a huge impact on the level of godly flourishing we experience in our lives. Growing deeper roots in the most important areas of life will produce flourishing fruit in the relationships and realms of life that really matter. And that's the purpose for the men's discipleship training, Deep Roots, to help men develop deeper roots in the most important areas of life so they can produce flourishing fruit for Jesus in this fallen world. Men, you need this kind of discipleship. Women, you need this as well with other women. And no matter how you've done with this in the past, remember that tomorrow is a new day. It's a blank page with nothing yet written on it. And when the sun rises on that new day, what story are you going to be writing with your one day closer to eternity? I hope it includes growing deeper roots in Jesus alongside other brothers or sisters in Christ. Here's a next step for you to take today to begin growing deeper roots in your life tomorrow. First, get alone with God right after this program ends so you don't forget or put it aside. And pray that God will reveal to you 2 to 4 men if you're a man, women if you're a woman, that you can begin pursuing Jesus more deeply alongside. If you're a man, like I said, find other men. Pray about them for 14 days. Pray for them. And I'd say just take a few minutes, find some time, set it aside, and pray for these people that God has put on your heart. Schedule it, that helps, and do that, start that tomorrow. Second, find a book, a Bible study, or a discipleship program to go through with those who say yes to you as you reach out to them to ask them to join you in this awesome adventure. You can visit onedaycloser.tv to find more, and we will share with you. You can reach out to me. I'd love to share with you more about how God can help you grow alongside other men and women in your life. Thank you so much for joining us for this program, for One Day Closer, where we're learning together how to use our one day closer to eternity to bring Jesus-infused purpose and hope to many.